Bop, bop, the tabletop super show. Bop, bop, the tabletop super show.
Hey guys, I'm Stevie Ray. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I hope you guys enjoy it. So today, what I want to talk about is gaming. I myself have been gaming for well over 35 years. I started back in the 80s with my older brothers, being the youngest, and playing stuff like basic D&D, moving on and graduating to advanced. We had a lot of fun back in those days playing with Ralph Partha miniatures to a limited extent of what kids could, afford at the time. We were playing with the little 25 mil lead miniatures. They were mostly painting them at this time. We were playing other games like the original version of BattleTech, Call of Cthulhu RPG, Star Frontiers, a little Gamma World, the Palladium role-playing system with TMNT and the After the Bomb supplements, as well as like countless others. But it wasn't until, it was about 1987, late 87 or early 88, that we really got into the more miniatures and tabletop miniature wargaming scene. And that was when this bad boy came out. Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader. Now, up until this time, most of the models that we had were in made of lead and in like a 25 millimeter and kind of a more realistic style, where the heads were more in proportion, the arms and stuff, and were kind of fiddly to paint. The paint we had back then was mostly testers and using enamels and stuff like that, because most of us, at least out here on the West Coast, hadn't figured out how to use acrylics and mediums and all that kind of stuff. So we were pretty much just layering enamel paints onto these lead minis and trying to get them onto the tabletop. But with this coming out, everything changed. So I remember my brothers coming back in early 88 and bringing this with them. And one of the things I remember that we did first with it was we cut out all of these little cutouts that they had in the back, and they had this their own scenario. And the scenario was called the Battle on the Farm, and it was Imperial Space Marines versus Space Orcs. And it was a lot of fun. We played that a few times, and then we went to our local game store, which at the time was a place in Old Town called Game Town. And we noticed that they started actually producing models for this line and for the Rogue Trader game. And we were into that. So we actually started picking up some of these models and painting them. And man, how crazy and what a good feeling it was to get to actually see these models. Because for the first time, we were actually getting some models into a more heroic style. Bigger heads. You got these crazy looking space knights with these beaking helmets and giant power arms and huge fists, over exaggerated weapons. They were really cool for their time. And that led to about a good decade of us, playing Warhammer, graduating to getting the Red Imperium book, and my team was Squats and Imperial Guard, which to this day is still my favorite army in the Warhammer 40K universe. So you might be asking yourselves, why am I talking about a game from 35 years ago that just celebrated its 35th anniversary? Well, lately I've been toying with the idea because we almost immediately graduated from the back to kind of doing army lists and straying from the idea of a narrative campaign for Rogue Trader, which I think is still a really good idea. So of late, I've been actually tracking down sculpts and sculptors, people and indie miniature makers that make old hammer style and retro style miniatures, whether they're to a higher detail or even from back in the day. Now, something I want to tell you guys about the sculpts from back in the day and some of the sculptors today that still produce content that is in that style of that era is that a lot of times they weren't perfect. Now, I can remember, this is before even the plastic sprue models came out, painting some of the metal squats and stuff and having things like a belt not go all the way through and having some features be less defined. And the way we dealt with it back then is we would actually do recessed shading and lining. So we would have to, if that belt didn't, continue all the way through and that detail wasn't there, well, we'd have to decide, well, the belt's going to be, right here and continue on. Then we would have to put two black lines. And those black lines would create the contrast that was needed to show that, yeah, that belt continued on with the back or whatever. So today, I actually have been tracking down some pretty cool models. And today we're going to be taking a look at some of the sculptor Drew Williams of Satyr Art Studios. Brilliant sculpts that he's come up with in this old hammer vein. And specifically today, something that's really excited me that my wife got me for Christmas which is the Space Dwarf Skyboarders, which take after the Power Boarders from Rogue Trader. So let's see if I can just take... Well, I'll show you guys this when we actually get these under the macro lens. Now, I want to tell you about Drew Williams. Now, Drew has been a sculptor. He actually did work for Games Workshop, I believe, in the late 90s in the North American division as a sculptor. And he's been doing this for, well, a quarter of a century. And he also kind of needs your guys' help. Because recently, Drew was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And he has a GoFundMe. And he needs some help. He's going to need some help and some support from some of the hobby folks. And if we could all pitch in and lend a hand, that would be great. I'm going to be leaving a link to his GoFundMe page here in the description of this video. So I'd really appreciate you guys for you to take a look at that. And if you can't do that, maybe go take a look at Satyr Art Studio's shop. And if you see something cool, and there is quite a bit of cool stuff there, maybe consider picking yourself up something and thinking about maybe doing a old style narrative campaign for Warhammer. Okay, guys. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take this one under the macro lens and just take a look at exactly what he sent me and give it a review. Okay, guys, so let's take a look at what I got sent here from Satyr Art Studios. We'll start with this guy. Really liking the Troll Slayer kind of haircut that he's got going. I like how there's small pegs on the bottom of the power boards so that when you build your bases, you have something to mount them on without having to actually do much pinning. Cool chain sword. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is definitely old hammer style. It's got the oversized, exaggerated chain sword, which is cool. I really like the style of a undershirt, kind of like that quilted style, because that's very squat from the 80s and 90s. And let's take a look at the back here. Well, I like how there's also a mount for you mounting the squat sky border onto the board. That's pretty neat. Like the backpack, it's got buckles, got some straps. Pretty neat model. Let's take a look at the next one. So this guy's got less of a big hairdo. Looks like he's carrying a bolt pistol. Once again, he looks like a totally unique sculpt, which is pretty cool. Gonna have a lot of fun painting these guys up in a bit for that eventual narrative Rogue Trader game. Let's get on to the next guy. Well, this guy actually has some movement in him with his hair kind of blowing back in the wind. He's got a holster on him. He's got an actual kind of pauldron. Looks like he's carrying a las pistol. Take a look at the back. Once again, we got a totally unique back sculpt, which is cool. If one of these guys doesn't have a helmet, I'm going to have to clip hair or do something because I want one of them to have like a biker skull cap on him. Here we got another one that's kind of also in the vein of the Troll Slayer. I like how he has, each one's have kind of different glasses. This guy's glasses are circular. This looks like some kind of rudimentary power sword. He's got some cool little greeblies on his belt. Oh, he's actually doesn't have a holster. It looks like he has an actual dagger on his belt. And kind of a more flattish backpack. Would like to have seen maybe something a little more with that guy in the back area. And got the final one that I got out of this set that I purchased. Ooh, this is a squat that actually has a cigar hanging out of his mouth. Lovely. That's going to be fun to paint up. I really like this over exaggerated bayonet. It's just quaint. It's super cute. This really is keeping with the old style of the Rogue Trader era models. Now this backpack, I mean, they're all unique, but this backpack right here is probably my least favorite thing out of this entire pack because it's just so nondescript. But I have an idea. I think I'm going to get some green stuff, and I'm going to make myself a old World War II style radio for his backpack to kind of give it a little bit more flavor. And that's a little kit bashing. I don't mind doing it, but I wish that it had a little something more than this to the back of him. But all in all, this really does capture the aesthetic of that old style of miniature sculpting and casting. Pretty neat little models, man. I dig them. Okay, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at these, and we're going to go ahead and go to the wrap-up. See you over there. If you guys enjoyed this, please challenge the like button to a marathon running contest, and then halfway through the course, stealthily sneak off, get on your skyboard, and proceed to blast him away to the finish line. As always, I wish you guys all the best, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Remember to keep painting, gaming, and hobbying on. Until then.